definitely childhood for me was beautiful. I was the average child. I was intelligent. I was spoiled. You know, I was a mama's boy. You know, mama's little boy. She was young, first child. You know, she called me her bundle of joy. You know, so childhood. You know, I couldn't sleep without my teddy bear. Then I had a JJ dial. You pull the string, say dynamite, and I was like, so I was the average child. My earliest memory, I can go way back. I kind of surprise my mother sometimes how far I could go back, but I would tell you my earliest memory far as when I think I first experienced pure happiness. I had been living with my grandmother, or the woman that raised my mother, in Chicago. I was maybe 5. And I hadn't seen my mother, who was living in Detroit, for maybe a year or something like that. And she came to visit, and I didn't know it, you know. And when we coming off the side of the house from the garage, she looked over the porch, and it's like I was like overwhelmed, like with joy, you know. That's like one of the memories that I feel like I felt our bond most.
So then you grew up in Chicago? Or
back and forth.
Okay.
Back and forth. In Detroit, like, as far as like what you would consider the east side, we lived everywhere. We were like gypsies of sort. And in between that time, I would do a semester or a school year in Chicago and come back for the summer. Do a semester here, go there for the summer. So it was like back and forth.
Okay, so can I ask you what specific reason for going back and forth?
Absolutely. Well, first of all, again, my mother was young, you know, and I was her first child, and sometimes the burden of, I guess, trying to raise a real child when, like, in some sort of way you're still a child can be overwhelming. So she was blessed to have the grandmother in Chicago to sometimes help alleviate some of that pressure.
So then, as far as making friends outside of family, bouncing back and forth, is that a lot harder to do?
Well, that's kind of one of the things I think that start to push me inward, is because I would go and make new friends and a girlfriend and you know, or whatnot, and then abruptly you would be uprooted and have to kind of reassert yourself, get past the difficulties with a different peer group in a different space, coming from another space, you know. So it got to a point where I guess the natural reaction of sort would be to stop making friends. You know, it's all ephemeral, it's temporary, you know what I mean? So, you know, I guess that happened, I could say maybe about 13, 12, 13.
Right at the time when you need friends most, right?
Absolutely.
So then you say about bouncing around from school to school. Can you just talk, I guess, generally about your experiences with education? Did you like school, hate it, a little bit of both?
Well, I can talk to you in that regard from two aspects. When I was young and I did the work was so easy, I would be done with a ton of time left, so I would be mischievous. But as far as like, you know, the work, it was easy. I mean, A's and B's, a C here and there at best. And then I believe in a form of rebellion, because a lot of times, like the last time I came from Chicago to Detroit, I didn't want to come back because I had got double promoted from the 6th to the 8th grade. I was doing good. I was, you know, I was really feeling school. I was seeing a future. I was thinking about basketball. I was doing music just because I could. You know, I've been doing music since maybe 8 years old, you know. But I came back in 1989. For me, that was the 8th grade school year, and I think I was rebellious. That on top of the fact that the environment that I went to school in wasn't very welcome. Here I am, what I call reverse racism, meaning darker skinned brothers have a problem with me because I'm a lighter skinned brother. The girls kind of always making, me the center of attention, not because I don't think nothing I had special, but because of their warped view of what beauty was or what have you. But it was always conflict. So the environment to learn was kind of tainted with conflict, so you start skipping school to avoid this, and then when you do go to school, it's for confrontation. So the school kind of became something else. Then the work, it became obsolete because you're talking about history, Abraham Lincoln, this, that, and the other, but the pending issues with poverty, with these dudes outside this door, or a young female with teen pregnancy, this stuff happening right now. So it seemed like it's starting to be like irrelevant. So I the last successful grade I completed is the 6th grade because, again, I was double promoted, 6th to the 8th, failed the 8th from that point on. Dropped out of school in the 8th grade. Tried to sneak into high school thinking maybe they not going to find out, but surely they did. Back to the 8th grade, one school to another, kicked out, inter-gang banging or gang violence or cliquism or what have you, and neighborhood politics. So school wasn't a place to be after a while. I know people got shot in school, believe it or not. Columbine wasn't. It was unfortunate, but it wasn't different to me.
Right.
Yeah.
So you say about the cliques and the gangs starting to form, that happened like around 6th grade or a little later?
Definitely around 6th grade, because 6th grade I went to a particular school in Chicago where a lot of different environments or areas of the city children were being bused to. So I always had family that was affiliated with social organizations or whatnot, so I was never naive or oblivious to it, but I believe when it became an issue as far as peer pressure or whatnot for me is during that time, because good friends were this, or the people you were really growing up and really, coming to bond with was representing this or that. So it kind of happens when you're in an environment without you even knowing it. You be getting like indoctrinated, because I come up in Chicago, Black Gangster Disciple. We said things like brothers of the struggle. We said things like that tweaked my interest. I didn't look at it like I was falling in love with something that would have me ultimately out here just to kill or destroy something. That's not how I saw it as a younger man or younger or boy.
This kind of change gears maybe a little bit, but as a young person, what kind of role models did you have to look up to?
Well, right now, I would say that I got negative mostly from the males around me. However, there were things that I took from them that I still stand on to this day. Meaning, or I guess I'm trying to say, like, in spite of how bad the men were that I was around, or ill-trained themselves, I still was able to learn things like, not to lie, to pay what you owe, to respect your elders, to, I'm young, but I'm old school. I'm kind of at the age 35 Friday, where I'm new school, but I'm enough old school to still know the rules, you know what I mean? But role models, like, there were always teachers who would say, focus on writing. There was always family members that would say, focus on music, this, that, and the other. And I'll be honest, there was a time when I would tell you that nobody ever cared or showed concern. But as a man today, I can't say that, because looking back, it was always somebody, even in the most putrid of ghettos, that had that light to say it's something bigger than this. But I just wasn't ready to receive it.
So you touched on your family life as a real young person. How did that develop as you got older?
Broken, dysfunctional. Wow. The thing of a family oftentimes is it's a team, whereas individuals bring something to the table. So father could be bringing one thing, mother one thing, children have their personalities, auntie, grandmothers, and you have this system. But if everyone is bringing pain or rejection or some type of strife or turmoil, and this is the environment, is always loud music, cursing, glass breaking, whether it's in your household or the people across the street or the people next door or the dog and the cat. It's just like it was an atmosphere of conflict. And the reason I believe that is because the people were in conflict with themselves. So my family was broken. Alcoholism, I come up in the crack era. I've seen many benefit from it, and I've seen many lose to this day, still having recovered from it, you know. So family, the beauty of it all is we stayed together. I guess I'm going to say that about family. No matter what happened, to this day, it's family, and we too large to not have issues, but it's family and it's love up under or over everything else. For real. But never knew father, you know, raised by a single girl, you know, bless her heart, you know. My father was much older, married with children, you know. But ironically, now I know how it affected me. But growing up, from having uncles and whatnot, I never really saw it. And then guess what? It wasn't like my friend next door across the street, father was around and make me look at my situation. It was normal not to have father around. Stepfather at best was the norm, if that. So it never really bothered me growing up about the father issue.
Mm-hmm. Then you said, did you say your mother was incarcerated?
No, she should have been.
Oh.
No, I'm just kidding. No, she never.
Oh.
My mother, no, never been incarcerated. Actually, well, yeah, no, never been incarcerated.
Okay.
Yes.
I don't know.
Right.
Don't want to move forward too quickly, so I'm trying to think of, as far as just like your upbringing, your childhood, your education, your family life, your friends. I think we covered most of the bases, right?
Yeah.
So then how does all that translate into, your life after that, I guess?
Well, if you mean like during incarceration and after, you kind of sort of family, friends, upbringing, you kind of sort of begin to properly define these things first and foremost. See, I never really understood what family was. The greatest example of family was to me is we fight together. Before anything else, if somebody bothering you, they bothering me. That was like the prime principle that was engraved in us coming up, and I'm grateful for that, you know. But it's like you kind of learn to prioritize who is who, what's what role does this person have to play in my life, what was I to learn from that experience. And then also on top of that, in regards to family and friends, is you begin to learn how to accept people for who they are and not what you would like them to be. You know, because that's a lot of times what causes the tension between members a family, a team, corporation, basket, whatever. You know what I mean? I want you to move this way because I think it's proper to move that way. No. You know, I have to come to respect how you move. It might not be how I move, but that's what makes us individuals. So when I learned to do that, I think relationship with everybody became better. As far as friends, I kind of really don't believe in friends. I believe in principles and ideology. I mean, I'm like a stone in one way, in another way I'm like over emotional, but I've seen a lot of hateful things done in the name of friendship. You know, I believe people are people in circumstances, and I believe you hope the best in circumstances, and you can't fall apart when, again, they don't behave in a certain circumstance the way you think they should. A person whom I would have died for, who I went to jail for, caught a case for, took the stand, testified, made a statement that could have resulted in me doing natural life. And here's a person that, you know, slept in my house, ate out my mother's bowls, and you know what I mean? So it's kind of like experiences have the power to like scar you to a degree, you know? That's all I kind of don't know about friends. Education, again, I was always blessed and cursed at the same time with the ability to see. So within time, I became the front of the big wheel pack. I became in front of the bicycle pack. I became in front of the social organization pack. I became the front of penitentiary politics. My education, I would say I owe to myself. I would say I owe to that sale. I would say I owe to that solitude and to that pain and to that suffering. I wouldn't change a minute of it. I would change how I affected others, of course. I wish I didn't hurt my mother the way I did. I wish I didn't hurt the families that were involved with my case the way that I did. But as far as what I had to go through to be sitting here in a space where I'm okay with me and I'm content with me, whether I got or whether I don't have, this is my kingdom. It's all good.
Yes, I don't know where I want to go with this, but I guess just getting into your experiences in prison.
Okay.
I guess your earliest memories of prison then.
Okay. I went into prison 18 years old. A boy full of fear, full of anger, self-hatred, resentment. I thought life was over. You just gave me 12 years, 14 years, 12 years plus 2, you know, for the felony firearm as the law goes. So 14 years, I'm 18. You just almost gave me the equivalent of my life. So I kind of thought it was over. Then I kind of always said that I would get back on the pill in a year. So I kind of held on to a glimmer of hope, I guess you could say, but I went in prison fighting. I went in prison fighting the system. I went in prison fighting myself. I went in prison fighting anybody that thought they wanted to fight. I had complexes from being of a lighter complexion based on the experiences, again, with reverse racism. I was small in stature, you know, but at the same time, I knew that I was a man or would become a man. I wasn't about to let nobody bother with that. I don't come from a family where you can take something from us and we kind of struggled hard for the little meager things that we do have. So I would fight to protect what's mine. I wouldn't seek trouble. I wouldn't, but at the same time, I was prepared to make my bones, I guess you could say. And within 2.5, 3 years, I went from level 2, where I started at, to level 4, then level 5, to the top of the top, and down to the bottom of the bottom. What started the transition for me in prison was a guy offered, or he used to sort of like nitpick at me in regards to my ignorance. He would boast in a diplomatic way of what he knew and what I didn't know. And me being a young, confrontational little dude, I didn't like him having that step ahead of me. So trying to have a conversation with this man began to make me kind of have to go back and get equipped to deal with it. So, and he would give me little books, and I would read them. The first one was called As a Man Thinketh. You know, and I still have the book. I highly recommend the book. I think it's by Richard Alice, maybe? Right. Very good book. But this book, it kind of like, it made me ask myself, like, are you telling me the reason I'm in the predicament I'm in is because of the way I was thinking? You know, it's that simple. It's not the system. It's not the white man, excuse me. You know what I mean? It's not the fact that the home was broken, that people have the ability to overcome any obstacle set before them, and then books came into play like Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. So there again, we're talking about thinking. So it made me start to question what is true power. I used to think on the block that the biggest gun with the most rounds, the loudest noise, who would go to the extra mile to get the point across was the power. But what I learned is that what always sat me in the front of the pack couldn't have been because I was powerful, because I was usually the smallest, but it was my ability to think. So I kind of got obsessed with empowering the mind. I started drinking from the various religious fountains that incarcerated environment has to offer. I started taking the good from each of them and getting rid of the rest. I started reading everything that I can get my hands on, whether it was relative or irrelevant at the time. I knew at some point it would become relative. As a young man, I joined the Nation of Islam. A guy came basically talking to me in the terms of, in spite of the fact you've been called a nigga who would never amount to nothing, the same God that originated the heavens and the earth lives inside of you. So now it's kind of like, you like, wait a minute now. Here I have been using my hands for destruction and decadence, and you telling me that I have the power to do, based on this energy, whatever it is I will to do, and that I can sort of forge an environment by how I think. So now we're talking about true power, self-empowerment as a result of knowledge of self. The Nation of Islam gave me direction, it gave me discipline. People to this day will say, oh, you're very intelligent, and I'll say, well, what got me started was the Nation of Islam. Oh no, and what, you know, it's like you praise me then condemn. You know what I'm saying? But it should be nothing but praise if this helped me or made me come to understand. Pull your pants up, shave, comb your hair, put some grease on your face. I mean, yeah, it's like you can tell the way a person thinks by how they present themselves. And you know, we can get away with it. You know, I still wear the Detroit fitted, but I wear it with dignity. You know, I wear it standing up. It's not cool to be stupid to me, you know. I guess that's swag, but it's like, I don't know, man. But the Nation of Islam saved my life. Today, at this very moment, I'm not as involved as I was then. And it's not because of I don't believe anymore, I guess you could say, because I still hold firmly to the things that I learned there. The things I've learned in other places, I see strength in the Buddhist way, you know. I see strength in the Quran. I see strength in the Bible. I see strength in the Aquarian Gospel. I gather strength wherever it is. And that's sort of the flag I wave right now. It's a flag of universalism. It's a flag of wisdom infinite. It's a flag of if you're a human being, then you're relative. I'm not in a box. So that's why I'm not as active today as I was yesterday.
So you talk about this new mindset that you had.
Mm-hmm.
What were you, I don't want to, I guess, what were you able to achieve? I don't know if that makes it sound too much like you were going for a goal, but like, how did that change everyday life? What different things did you do?
Well, the greatest thing that I took away from it all and that I hold firm to is that I'm responsible for my actions. See, I used to be the type to blame you for making me burn your house down.
Yeah, no.
But right, you find that's kind of absurd. You can't make me do nothing. You know what I mean? So I've learned to in spite of what's going on around. The mindset allows you to be patient. It allows you to be patient with people because in studying self, I've in turn studied you. If I found that I'm flawed and have frailties, then you must as well. If I desire to be forgiven, dealt with patience, or dealt with patiently, then I can deal with you this way. So it kind of helps your relationship with people. The new mind state tells me that no matter, like it's a new thing about take the, whether you've been convicted of a felony off the application. I support that right on, but for me it doesn't matter. See, the mind state tells me that no obstacle can get in the path if my will is strong, if my desire is strong, if my method of application is proper. The mind state is not a mind state where I look for excuses. I accept sole responsibility as a man first. This society can't stop me. And poverty, coming from poverty, can't stop me. If whatever you say peace is, then I can have that same thing just because I'm in the same space that you have. I got the same opportunity that you have. I'm highly entertained and motivated and educated by stories of people like Frederick Douglass, stories of people like, even that they didn't teach us in elementary school, but like Sundiata, who was a slave and became a leader of a vast empire. I mean, this is like, you read like, wow. And you get the sort of motivation that children feel when they watching Superman, I guess. That anything is possible, that I can do this. But again, you look at how were they able to accomplish these things. They learned, and then they had the audacity to act on what they learned. See, that's what G.I. Joe used to say, knowing is half the battle. In my philosophy or opinion, the other half of the battle is applying what you know. Because a lot of people know, and because of fear, because of procrastination, because whatever, never do. So you might as well not know. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, it's man, the new mind state, man. And then it's not a new mind state. Let's say that. I don't believe in change. You are what you are. You can be the best at it, or you can be the worst at it. I don't believe in change. Change means going from one thing to another and never being able to revert back. It's something else now. I don't embrace that. I believe that's fictive, but that's blessing moving to another tune. But the mind state is not new. It's me basically going back on what's natural, going back on or getting away from what I allow the environment to create. I wasn't born a monster. Again, I was a child with a little boy with a teddy bear, cried when his mother walked out the room. So what I had picked up is basically about putting down. You know what I mean? And so it's not a new mind state. I would say it's an improved me.
Something you say about the motivation and inspiration from certain people and stories. How do those stories, those people, how have they motivated you and inspired you to achieve things as far as music or any other personal things that you feel that you achieve?
Well, again, I believe with a plan, there's nothing I can't accomplish. See, if you think to do something and it's never been done, you can believe that it can be done, but you're not really sure. But if you see it done, and you say, well, I know it can be done, it's just about finding out what they went about to do it. So I came out with a plan. My music, I used to tell people I'm going to make a video and it's going to be this way, and in spite of a little few things different, it was just that. Coming into a place where I was able to get it on local television was just the fruit of strong desire. I didn't see that coming that soon. It just, again, when you want something strong enough, as the book The Secret says, the universe will go into effect to bring about things relative to that desire or that vision. Again, I'm not looking for a record deal. I don't want to be P. Diddy. I do it because I can do it. Far as work, again, desire. I was able to come out and get a job building houses with the Habitat for Humanity, which to me, I can't work if it's not in service of. You follow? So it's more. It got to be more than a check for me. So I was blessed to come out and do something to make some money and also give back at the same time. Wow, it's been a journey. It's been like, because I had never had a driver's license, I had never had a bank account, I had never did the formal things. I didn't know what email was. I didn't know what the text message was. So it was like this boy coming back to an adult situation and having to figure it out. I'm still figuring out. Keep overdrafting the account. I mean, they say it's simple as writing it down, but I'm not accustomed to doing that. But I look at those overdraft fees as the price for knowing. I've started my own business. It's going slow, but it's the passion of the life, entertainment, and it's motivation and education by way of entertainment. I tell my story. I may share the video. I move around. That's how I was able to get in contact with you, from the class and the movie with Chris and PCAP or what have you. And it's just about making connections and resources, But I've been blessed to not be given, but to be given the opportunity to get. I've had angels in my life who, because sometimes it gets to a point where, like, I don't know where to turn at this corner. So again, it's like the universe saying, I'm not going to leave you out here alone. You know what I mean? So you have people to help navigate. I call them angels, and it's just been remarkable. I mean, there's been some temptation. By all means, I'm still a street dude, at least till I get off papers. I can't change the game now. I don't want to fight, but I will. If it's for something I believe that strongly about, I would rather let's get dressed up dance and have a good time, but I understand the way of the world. You have, it's like sometimes you have, let's look at the streets in this new life of a home of a working man, tax-paying citizen as two women. All right? One woman, the streets, she fast, she's beautiful, she's voluptuous, but she got this poisonous about her. Highly attractive, but poison. This new life needs patience. It's a bigger woman who by society's standard is not very attractive. She's slow, yet it's security. But the question is, which type of life fits in Sodom and Gomorrah? So sometimes it's like I know what part of me can really shake things up. So sometimes you fight with the demons like young Luke in the Darth Vader inside. But it's like I tell myself, I know more than that. I'm better than that. I've been there and I've done that. You know what I'm saying? I want to see. I'm very critical how my story be told when I'm gone. This is kind of how I make decisions. I don't want people to know me, like, not to sound arrogant, but to say that you know me a little bit and don't like me is kind of ridiculous, because I want to be known as a fun, loving, caring person who will give, who you can talk to, who's humble, who's reasonable, you know. But at the same time, there is Darth Vader. Let's not forget that, you know, in the event you have ill thoughts or ill intentions. You follow what I'm saying? But I want to be known for building. It seems like, would you rather burn down a house in the neighborhood, in the community, say all that rogue, that wretched, throw them in jail, forget them, burn them, rah, 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 or would you rather build one and they say, wow, that was beautiful, it'll last forever, a young girl will have a home? I mean, it kind of just makes sense to me now to be inclined to the light. Yes, sir.
Okay. Yeah. So you have your portfolio, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
You have your plans. You have you know your talent. You have a good sense of yourself. 10 years from now, where do you see yourself?
Ooh, it's bigger than I can imagine. It's so big that it's scary. Because in spite of admitting to influence and leadership, you may be surprised to find that it's never what I want. See, I was put into segregation for 2 years because of leadership and influence in a way that I knew in my heart of hearts was positive. So it's kind of like, if I'm just in the back seat and the car get pulled over, I'm not as in trouble as the driver. So it's not, to me, you would have to be insane to say, let me take on that responsibility. It just seems like somehow, some way, things happen that way. 10 years from now, I stay in accordance with that inclination to the light. I believe I've been through what I've been through. I've hurt the way I hurt. I know what I know. I feel impregnated with what I feel impregnated with for a reason. So it's basically just doing what you feel you're supposed to be doing. And to me, that's the ultimate success for man. To find your lane, your reason for being here, and fulfill it. So now, it's like I'm bumping my head learning how to play the game. 10 years from now, I see myself, I won't say because I'll still be really young, I won't say I've arrived in 10 years, but I will say that I will be doing what my life plan was written to do. Definitely. Full blast. Full blast. I don't know if music could be a part. It's probably something I would always do for me, but I see, like, going back to school for community counseling and so some social work. I just want to build. I want to educate the people. I want to defy. I want people who people said wouldn't accomplish nothing to stand up and say, I defied that accusation. Now erase that period, put a comma, and continue the sentence. Or the semicolons, however, comma, and finish the sentence. See, a lot of people put a period on it when I went to prison. He's done. The life of Phillip, period. No, erase that period. However, went into prison, and then that's like the ultimate achievement to me. That's why I still wear the baseball cap, because I still represent where I come from. We're not dummies just because of culture. The Whig Party wore lone white wigs. To me, that's strange, but that was their culture. It's just culture. Hip-hop is culture. You see us coming, with that swag or whatnot, you automatically think, tighten your purse up or hold the wallet tighter or be more observant, when in reality I might be the one saving you. You know what I mean? So I kind of like desire to get rid of some of those stereotypes. Yeah, it's just who we are. I should be able to express and breathe just as freely as the next person and be accepted. And it's been jobs I could have had but didn't want to put on a suit. See, again, it's bigger than the dollar. If I compromise myself now after so long, what sense would that make? I done held firm to self and the principle, and just to get this far and say just because you got a paycheck, start folding on self now? No. And the beauty about coming from poverty, man, why I'm so thankful for it, is because I'm not deluded to think that money makes me. The society so, even like in rap music now, it's so money. When like for real, everybody prostitutes for whatever. You can't make me do because you got a bigger check. People have offered to invest in me. But before I take your money, I need to know, like, why you want to give it to me. You know what I'm saying? Maybe you could give it to me and I can achieve in a day what I would end up achieving in those 10 years. But guess what? In those 10 years, I don't have a burden of obligation. I don't have a burden of whatever you going through is going to ill affect me. What kind of karma is on that investment money? Because if it's some bad karma on that investment money and I put it in my coffers, then I'll suffer the wrath of that karma. So the old saw says, all money's not good money. That's not what it's about.
So you said a little bit about counseling and social work. I guess more like broad-based solutions to, for kids, making sure that they have good examples to live by, good support systems when they don't, good resources and opportunities. Where does that start in schools? Does that start with family?
Definitely starts at home. It starts in the womb, from the way that the people thinking about it. The child is being shaped by the environment, by the energy, by the thoughts around it. Little do people know. You know what I mean? It's like it starts there. Then the school, then the neighbors, then I believe, I'm old school again. I believe it's up to the village. Education, and everybody wave a flag of education with it. I'm gonna tell you the problem with it. But education is the key, wherever you can get it from. And it should be available everywhere, meaning the neighbors again, the person that crossed the street, auntie, the school, the preacher, etc., etc., etc. But here's the problem. A lot of time the so-called educators don't have the proper medium of translation and communication. So what they're trying to impart is flying straight over the head for the intended party. Meaning you don't have the reason or the capability to reach me because you have no way of relating to my story, relating to what I'm going through. It's like, again, I told you, here I am in the 8th grade, 1989, East Side Detroit, Michigan, gang violence, 12-gauge shotgun in the bushes, girl pregnant sitting behind me, 13 years old, and you talk about the Emancipation Proclamation. Teach me how to, or teach my parents how to. That way I won't have to think like a parent while I'm trying to be a child, like how I'm going to eat, where I'm going to sleep. You know what I mean? You know what I'm trying to say? It's like, it's kind of like the children messed up because the parents messed up, but the parents messed up because the society messed up. So not only do the babies need to be educated, the parents need to be educated, and guess what else? The society need to be educated as well. The people that so-called know can't possibly know with the condition of the world today. I'm not into politics. I didn't wave the Barack Obama flag. I'm sorry. But I knew Barack Obama politics wouldn't affect Phillip Sample in Pugsley Correctional Facility. I was thinking about what I was going to say to the parole board coming up. That was sort of irrelevant to me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then it's like, man, we look for anything that we think is a glimmer of hope. 1,000 churches on every corner, everybody Facebook, Jesus this, Jesus that, but yet it's trash right next door to the church. Potholes and winos. There's no power in the church. The people leaving powerless. So I don't know if I'm veering, but you incite a little emotion, but it's like sometimes that mind frame that allows you to see, I call it a gift and a curse, because sometimes the things you see hurt so bad. And you ask, how can I, just like you said, back to the question, ding, 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 what is the solution? What, am I too small? We build one house, and then I'm out of it. I had this thought. It's like I'm chopping away, and I look up and turn around, it's vacant lot, so it's like, man, am I making some type of difference here? Then the people are and see the people so warped and degenerate in the thinking, they'll break the windows, come steal the cake. Like, wow, man, I'm coming from somewhere else to help you. And you destroying self. So am I to take away the attitude, just leave you be to self-destruction? So sometimes I say, let me get my little group, and let's go, y'all. You can call it a cult, you can call it whatever you like. Let's find our space in the world and do us. Then it's the majority of the time where you say it's bigger than just us. So it's a lot of conflict.
Right. So I guess going even broader, you said about the people who know that can't possibly know. How do you, not you, how should we as society help them to know?
Well, I'm going to tell you why I embrace PCAP. Because PCAP is the embodiment of the way. It is by bridging the gaps between the different facets of society. the gap between black and white, the gap between not having and having, the gap between the most prominent and promising college student facet of society and incarcerated, doing life, no hope facet of society. Because what I'm provided in this hopeless space is maybe an insight that if given to this person who has the range to go to the end of the world with it, then we have power. So it has to be a bridging of the gap. See, wisdom, I don't know if I'm a very, very biblical man, but it says that I will use the ignorant to confound the wise. Or wisdom would proceed from the mouth of babes. As it says in Proverbs, I have come out of prison to reign. Meaning wisdom is coming from places where you would like to close off and shut down and pay no attention to. I would take my jailhouse education, no offense to you, over a University of Michigan degree any day, brother. Now, I would like to come out of that and maybe go get that same degree because it is important. It does mean something. But at the same time, I have as the underlying root an education that I got in the school of hard knocks, tangible trial and error. It's nothing like it. It's nothing like it. It's not where there's nobody interpreting. No one to interpret, no one to color your way of looking at it. See, we could read the same book, and if you tell me what it made you think about, and I say, well, that's what I think too. Something is wrong with it. I don't want to step on no toes, but again, my people are destroyed for a lack of knowledge. They go to a place of worship and the so-called paragons of excellence in the robes of convey and articulate the measure, and they take it for everything it's worth and get nothing out of it. You know, you have to, if we are individuals, you have to pray for your own portion of understanding. You know, sometimes people got to get out the way. And even parents, you got to get out the way sometimes. Not way out the way, but out the way to allow the child to become the individual they're going to become. You don't want to destroy certain things. You may want to probably direct it. You know what I mean? If it's energy, it's like I know I have a puppy that could possibly one day be vicious and a nuisance to society. So I need to run them. I need to exercise them. I need to spend this energy in a different manner. You know, I don't want to kill his spirit because then he's not what he is. You know what I mean? And you just got to get out the way sometimes. You know?
Kind of going back and read
So
kind of bouncing all over the place, but when you were inside, can you just give me a day on the inside? And was there routines, or was every day different, or was there a little bit of both?
Being that it's an institution, there's definitely routine. But the place where you find freedom in captivity is when you begin to set your own pace. Just because they say it go to child now, I don't have to. I can cook child at 8 o'clock for myself in my life. Just because you said go play, I don't have to. I can read a book. So it's like, it's definitely routine, but for me, wow, regiment wasn't even it. It was almost military. I mean, I rarely slept. When I did sleep, it was uncomfortable. I never got comfortable to the point where it felt like I belonged there. This is home, get comfortable, cuddle, snuggle. It was always like I was ready to pop up and fold up and ship out, you know. So my waking times, I found time to laugh. I found time to cry. I found time to exercise. I found time to do everything that you can almost call a normal existence. I watched movies, I read a lot, I played basketball. I wasn't into gambling. I was fortunate to be able to stay away from the vices. I didn't go to come out worse. I went to, at least if I'm have to be here, at least get better, so, but it was never board time for me. I made sure I stayed busy. How could you be bored when there's always something new to learn? There's always, somebody to talk to. Sometimes, actually, again, as this so-called person of influence, I'm dealing with so many issues from my own peers that I don't even have time or space to think about myself. So it was never a boring time, It's very tense. Everybody right now say I'm paranoid and over, but it's a very tense environment where missing small details could cost you. Everybody's working an angle, stay on your toes is an understatement, so I guess I am paranoid and I don't mind it, I accept that. I keep that for a while. Yeah, I keep that for a minute. Yeah, but I did a lot of time in single man sales because I did a lot of level 5 time. Single man sale, you basically in that space, it's kind of like this room is set up. We put this room together piece by piece, but the idea is to have everything you need to function. I'm kind of still in that way of thinking where it's like right here because that's what a sale is. Your kitchen and your bathroom was the same space, and the bedroom was a step to the side, But you learn in that the ability to be creative. It's a certain ingenuity comes from, being alone and being like, it's like the MacGyver sense kind of kick in. I don't have everything that I need to adequately do, so I need to make a makeshift this or a makeshift that, and I kind of came out with that same ingenuity, meaning I know it don't take $1 million to be comfortable. Instead of buying a bookshelf or whatever, why not get some wood or a TV stand, make it? What happened to a little physical exertion? We need something that'll hold the TV and the DVD player. Okay, some 2x4s around and some paint. I don't have to be an architect to put that design together, But and that's there's so much beauty that comes out of otherness. That's just, that's all I can say to that.
Bit about solutions as far as this, we can all agree that it's definitely flawed, but then within the prison, probably a lot of stuff that I know there's a lot of stuff that everybody shakes their head at, and then there's probably some stuff that, you say there's a glimmer of hope. So I guess starting with the bad and going to the good. What are the huge flaws in the prison system that just you think need to change?
That's a difficult question, but I'm going to tell you why. I have a lot of people I love in the prison system who may never come home. So there's something in me that would want to say there's definitely need for improvement. More opportunities for education, more resources, more classes or things geared around becoming a productive civilian or citizen when you do return to society. But at the same time, it's my philosophy that I wish prison could go back to the bread and water days. Meaning all the trinkets. Because my best prison time wasn't in level 2, where we had the playroom, where we had the field house to shoot pool, where we had 100 basketball courts. My best prison time was in Marquette, where you had a cell and a law library. So I say that maybe if prison was prison, not just housing of folk until, you know what I mean, but rehabilitation was real, then that would be the ultimate desire. If you say that the thing is to rehabilitate me, okay, get some people in here that can go to work with this warped mentality that I have. Teach me, again, I came out, didn't know nothing about balancing a checkbook, bank account, how to do this, how to do that. They try to shove in a couple of months at the very end of 15 years, but it don't get you ready for real life. So I got a double feeling about that. You know, I used to feel sometimes that it was too easy, that people didn't take it serious enough until it was too late. You know, this is like for some people, it was guys in my time that had come back 4 times. You know, it's like you keep giving the opportunity at something that a whole bunch of people have never had an opportunity to experience again ever. See, and I carry that with me today. That helped me stay inclined to the light. I've been given the opportunity to represent the positive potential of the people that stuck there for life. See, if I come out here and fumble the ball, blah, 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 shoot up every day, like, see, told you. You know what I mean? So it's like, man, sometimes you wonder, like, is it just too far gone? You know, I mean, like, can this be turned around? Because think about this. Say you do start letting people out who deserve to be out. What are you letting them out to? Detroit, 48205? So it's like, wow, it's like the most tangled web you can ever conceive, you know, and whew, that's why I big up anybody that's trying to do something about it, because maybe if so many somebodies try to do something, it'll all add up to something paramount, relative, substantial, effective. But it's hard. It's hard. It's hard.
I mean, that's one thing we talk about a lot, is that questions bring more questions.
Mm-hmm.
You never get the answers, so it's hard, you know. A lot of people just don't want to confront it, and that's the big issue.
Mm-hmm. It's I don't know. I mean, I've seen the best of every field of talent, every field of thought. I've seen the best artists. I've heard the best poets. I've heard the best MCs. I've seen the best basketball players, all behind a big solemn gray wall, going nowhere, unless you are willed enough to do what Gibby did and get someone else to share your vision. You know what I mean? That takes will to be able to see opportunity in the slightest of places, you know, the smallest of places, and capitalize and make it do something, you know. And there's people there, man. It's human beings, people that have children, people that you'll say you got how much time, and you've been talking to them 3, 4, 5, 6 months, and you like, man. You know, you're one of the most pure-hearted of persons I've ever met. Then you've been in society that can go to the grocery store You know, and I got that spidey sense, meaning when I come into your company, I can kind of feel a frequency. I can tell whether I need to get away from you or be drawn to you. You know, so I see in society some of the most evil-spirited people I've ever met. And yet I see it for that. Don't get me wrong. It's some monsters in prison who, in my opinion, need more psychological help than anything, because if you have the inclination to rape, molest, kill just because, I think something is wrong with you. I don't think nobody just wake up and say, I want to be a child molester. I just don't believe that. I don't believe prison because, okay, how much time you going to do? And then you put them back out there and they the same person. You see what I'm saying? So basically, you done wasted time. You done shot a blank. You done shot a purposeless bullet that's useless. You see what I'm saying? So it should be a question of how do we not necessarily, you want to do more than retard this behavior. You want it to cease and subsist. So you got to figure out a way, like, what is going on. It should be, more money should be going into research maybe than incarceration perhaps. You know, and then it's a lot of people, like me for example, I was looking at natural life. Natural life would have been a disservice to a person strong and able to be a part of the solution in society, able to be a taxpayer in society, and as opposed to dying a burden to society in a cage. That would have been a disservice. But it's as easy as how the jury feel about it. Wow. Let's hope that there is a God present in some of those courtrooms. But I hate to tell you, but I know people who are doing natural life who are innocent. I know this to be a fact. It's not what I believe. I know it to be a fact. I may know it because I may have seen what actually happened. But what can I say? Can I say let him go and lock him up? Conflict. Conflict.
I guess the only thing I can say is that I really like what you said about bridging between I guess the so-called high-run society and low-run society or whatever, and just helping each other to understand each other. So there's going to be specific instances that you can't do anything about, but just trying to get a little better every day.
That's right. That's right. And you hope that, you know, I study history a lot because you can kind of, if you can find a place in history that looks like the space you're in, maybe you can gain some insight as to where this present circumstance is going. You follow what I'm saying? Like, maybe like get an example. You know, so I study a lot of history, and unfortunately we find that some societies were just done away with. I hope that's not the case here and now, but again, it was just some things that got sold that they're ruins now. You know, got so decadent, got so errant and so evil and so unjust and malicious and evil and just, they're no more. Ruins. They have ran their course. So here we are, privy to that knowledge. Do we run the same course? Or Or do we say, let's not become Rome?
Yeah.
You know?
I think about it. Let's hope not, right?
Yeah, but see, everybody's relative. See, just because I may make it to the University of Michigan, it's still something going on down in the ghetto in Detroit that's relative. What is my occupation to be? Am I to become a lawyer? So these paths may end up crossing. Am I to become a doctor? These paths may end up crossing. So it's relative, but a lot of times people don't get involved until they affect it. See, I don't care about prison until Bobby goes to jail. You follow what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So now, let's learn about prison. Let's become active. Dude, Bobby been going to jail. It's all relative. If you think of second grade science, when you learn about the food chain or the cycle, the ecosystem, this system, it's all relative. It's all relative. I mean, a lot of times, I'm going to tell you, man, if I could tell you something to take back to the class or people that's in the sphere of your influence or communication, I would say that the best way to fight this fight, oh man, it's about to be very interesting. It's going to surprise you what I'm about to say. But the best way to destroy the monster and all his ugliness is simply to think contrary to him. That's where it begins. If I'm thinking contrary, sooner or later I am going to do. If you're thinking contrary, she's thinking contrary, they're thinking contrary, doing. Now you have a force that will soon equal the power of the monster. And if it continues, it will surpass the power of the monster. A true revolutionary is not black fists and black hats and tight leather coats and marching and stumping and drop kicking chairs, and that's retarded. That's ridiculous. It's thinking contrary. Period. If you sit, we just talked about the power of desire and will and passion. If you just sit back and say, this injustice is not right, it's not right, it's not right. This injustice is not right, it's not right, it's not. Man, this injustice is not right. See, the more you say it, the more you are conjuring up the will to do. The thought is the cause of it all. See, it's people that say, lock them up forever, throw away the key, and they thinking about it, they working towards it, they sitting at the table, day in and day night, day in and day out, they pushing a pen about it, they sending emails about it, very vehement about it. And then here go the so-called freedom fighters. Wanna, I don't know, man, picket or boycott some frivolous thing. I don't know. I mean, but at the same time, silently perpetuating the system and thought. Revolutionary hypocrisy. On the front line, but upholding the system and thought. It's amazing.
Well, I can't really think of any other questions I have. One thing I do want to ask you is, you said you were going to get me some of your stuff. Do you mind, watching it, together? Do you mind doing it?
Sure.
So, I think, watching, listening to art, with the artists in the room.
Yeah. Yeah. if you would be so kind, could you state your name and purpose for the
Yeah.
record?
Sorry.
Sorry, I put you on the
No, it's
spot.
not good. My name is David Reeva. I'm a junior at the University of Michigan. I met Phillip, or the first time I came into contact with Phillip was through his work on a film called All Day, and I was drawn to him as a person, his articulate nature, things he had to say. And so why I'm here today is for a class project for one of Buzz Alexander's classes, and just wanted to find out, in a very real, very deep way about someone who's been incarcerated, their upbringing, their education, their family, their friends, their time in prison, and then what they're planning to do afterwards. I think we got a lot accomplished on both ends, and we realized that bridging gaps is the most important thing, and thinking contrary to the people in power. Just toward a better and bright future.
That's right. That's right. Be good. Thank you.